Because today's Advent theme is hope, I thought I would share with you my favorite Bob Hope quip. Makes sense, right? As you know, probably, Bob Hope hosted many Academy Awards presentations, shows for many years. And sadly, he never ever won an Oscar, although he did win many other awards, as you can imagine. But the Oscar always evaded him. And so one year he said, "Welcome to the Academy Awards," or as it's known in my house, Passover. I love that. Go back and YouTube the 1975 opening monologue for Bob Hope, because it shows a lot of clips that he had done in previous years when he was opening for the Academy Awards. And he has that particular joke in there too. How many of you have heard the word adult used as a verb in recent years? Yeah. I think we call that a gerund, G-E-R-U-N-D. Maybe it's gerund. Gerund, huh? Gerund, yeah. It seems to be popping up all over the place, adult as a verb. An example would be the following sentence. Someone please tell me how to adult. And by the way, this is a staple of my morning prayer routine, just so you'll know. To adult is to behave adult-like, specifically to do things that are often considered kind of mundane, that an adult is expected to do, such as having a job, living independently, doing your laundry, keeping appointments, changing the oil in your car, doing yard work, filling in for the children, the Christmas nativity scene, right? Although maybe we should call that behaving like a child or child, using the word child as a verb, right, for us adults. But these are, of course, things that, this is what we, at least in my house, we tell our millennial children. Please go out and adult today. It's a verb that has been increasing in its usage. There was some data from the first few months of 2016 that showed that the use of that word had increased like sixfold from the previous year in 2015, and many advertisers jumped on this adult or adulting bandwagon. You had Credit Karma. They were all doing commercials and so forth that used the word that way. Credit Karma, TD Ameritrade, Target, Amazon, and my favorite, Fruity Pebbles. Fruity Pebbles have used the word as a verb, and I can't figure out how eating Fruity Pebbles makes one an adult. But to each his own, right? But the English language is notoriously flexible, so I look forward to other nouns in English to come into usage as a verb. And actually, my family has contributed to this in recent years. Concerning my little brother's name. His name is Jeffrey. That would be a noun. But anytime a family keepsake disappears from my mom's house, we say that it has been Jeffrey'd. So we've sort of turned it into a verb. Now, I love my little brother. Don't get me wrong. I took him to a Dallas Cowboy game on Thursday night. So he owes me, right? He owes me. Of course, if he hears this sermon, then it'll all be even, I think. For Advent this year, I am taking the 4 traditional nouns, hope, peace, joy, and love, and I will explore them as verbs, even if I have to invent a new form of the word. I'm calling my Advent series the 4 Adverbs, which I'm not talking about adverbs as you normally think, but I mean it in the sense that it's short for Advent verbs. Adverbs. That's pretty clever, right? I mean, you get it? I thought it was. My premise is that what Advent calls us to do every single year is to focus on what it means to hope one another, to peace one another, to joy one another, and of course, to love one another. And only the last of those 4 Advent themes, love, is used naturally as a verb in that sense. Now, because the Christmas cantata is replacing the sermon on the third Sunday of Advent. I've already written about joy, used as a verb in this month's newsletter, so you can read that. Today I'm going to delve very briefly into the word hope as a verb. So the question that I asked myself recently is, what does it mean to hope one another? What does it mean to hope one another? And just at the time that I was asking that question, I looked on my phone and my emails, and I saw an email from the National UCC. It was from their Still Speaking devotional website, and there was a devotion, and the title was Hope as a Verb. I thought, well, I can use this, I bet. And so I looked at it, and I forget the writer's name. I didn't write it down, but she was writing about relating a story that was told by Reverend William Barber. Now, Reverend Barber is a well-known Disciples of Christ minister in North Carolina, and he is a national board member of the NAACP. You may have seen him. He's a really big guy. He's been all over the news in recent years primarily because of his leadership in what we call the Moral Monday movement, the Moral Monday movement. But Reverend Barber said this: when I was growing up in eastern North Carolina, I used to love to sit in my grandmama's kitchen and listen to her sing as she made dinner. Whenever she was done cooking, she'd give me a plate to eat. Then she and some of the other sisters from the church would make up some to-go plates, and with their aprons still on, they'd head out the door to visit the sick and shut in. We going to hope somebody, Grandmama would say. We going to hope somebody. Now, Reverend Barber, he loved his grandmama, but he was convinced that she had really bad grammar. He knew that the word hope is not used that way as a verb, and of course, technically he's right. It isn't used that way as a verb. We don't say, we going to hope somebody, until you or I need to say it. And as the devotional writer said, the rules of grammar must change because the child of the resurrection needs it to change. Now, because this is the beginning of Advent and the Christmas season, I want to expand on that particular statement and say it this way. The rules of grammar must change because the child of the resurrection and the incarnation are needed to change. Incarnation. In Christian theology, the word incarnation refers to the birth of the Christ child, and it literally means the embodiment, and in this case, the embodiment of God in the flesh, the incarnation. So think about all of this way. The birth of Jesus changed the rules about life, just like the resurrection of Jesus changed the rules about death. And so why can't we change the rules of grammar to reflect this new reality? Today we are changing the rules of grammar in relation to the word hope. Reverend Barber goes on to say that hope is a verb that pulls us up from the depths of despair, shakes us from our pain, and points us toward life. Hope is not just a noun, he says, that serves an idea. Instead, it's a verb that pushes us out the door to say to everyone within earshot that this is not the end. This is not the end. This isn't all there is. And there is justice to be done. So today, on this first Sunday of Advent, the Sunday in which we get our first chance to open that door and give a look-see into the world beyond us, and then to head out that door and go hope somebody. Go hope somebody. Find folks who seemingly have no hope, physically, emotionally, economically, educationally, spiritually, whatever it might be, and hope them. Don't hope for them. Don't offer hope to them. Don't just be a hope surrogate for people who have no hope. Don't just offer words of hope that will only sound like platitudes to them. Hope them. Hope them. And remember, the rules of grammar have changed because the birth and resurrection of Jesus Christ have changed the rules of life and death. Amen.